Hi, Dan Antonelli from KickCharge Creative, author of Branded Not Blanded. On today's episode of Branded or Blanded, we're going to be talking about the logo design for Frosty Desert in Las Vegas. This is a company that we rebranded about a year ago. So we're going to be talking a little bit about what he had before and what we did to sort of fix it and improve it. So starting with the naming, it's a good name. I think the name really works. It's obviously something that you're hoping to get in the middle of the desert. So I think that the naming works. I'm gonna give that an 8, okay? As far as being memorable, so you could look at the whole wrap design and it is probably memorable, right? But there's some challenges with how it's designed and what you're actually going to remember about it. So on this, I'm just gonna give it a 6 because I think there's some issues and we're gonna talk about those issues in a minute, okay? Now, as far as brand colors, this is where it gets a little harder on this one because the brand colors are kind of all over the place. There's a lot of different colors. It's not really a unique set of specific colors. So for that, definitely gonna give it a little bit of a lower score at a 5. And then the logo lockup, okay? So this is the orientation of how the logo is actually built. And that's some area where I think there's some room to improve, okay? So first off, you look at, really how that piece is done. And note that the size of the mascot in relationship to the actual lettering is much too large, okay? And this is actually causing everything to be so close to the bottom, right? So it's all too close to the bottom. You've got the words LLC in here, which should never ever have in an actual logo. And then really the most important piece of it is this heating and air conditioning part, which is also just so far down. So the lockup itself is not oriented well. The mascot itself, the way he's rendered, is not rendered in a manner that is really efficient for an outdoor environment. So you have also things like this tool being used, which is the tool that you use, the gauges that a technician would use. It's not a tool that most homeowners understand. And so we never recommend having those types of, sort of trade gauges or trade tools that only a trade person would know, because Mrs. Jones probably doesn't have any idea what that is. And then, the way he's rendered, this is supposed to be a cactus, kind of feels maybe a little bit more like a pickle, perhaps. I know that was some of the feedback that he had previously. So on a logo lockup, I'm just gonna give it a 2 because I think there's a lot of areas that I think we would say could use improvement on that. And then the vehicle wrap itself is really where the biggest challenges are, right? So you look at the way that this is oriented here, and this really seems like that's the name of the company. The name of the company is not Stay Frosty. And that was the problem that he was experiencing. And everyone thought the name of his company was Stay Frosty. So Frosty Desert down here, but this is where the viewer and the eye wants to go. They want to look at this piece over here because it's higher. So, really not done well. This is a minimal in terms of priority, not a huge piece of the marketing puzzle. It's really actually just a tagline. Then you've got this huge phone number here, very much not a priority in comparison to the website, which is done really small down here, okay? So just a lot of challenges. This we would have made bigger. This we would have minimized. The use of these outlines and drop shadows, also kind of a more amateur approach to how you're trying to accentuate something, typically not something you want to see in a brand. I'm gonna score that as a 1, and then that gives our total score a 22, which puts us kind of like over here, I would say. Okay, so let's look at what we did to try to solve some of the problems that we saw here and what the redesign looks like. So here's the redesign here. So obviously naming is gonna remain the same as an 8, but what do we do to try to make it more memorable? Certainly the way in which we handle the mascot. You can see the mascot is now a lot more vibrant. It stands out a lot more. It's very easy to read and understand what he's doing. We've got the introduction of the scarf to try to go along with the name. So there's a connection there. We got rid of the tool that no one knows what that tool is, those gauges, and we replaced it with something that's a lot more simple there, okay? So memorability, I'm gonna say we moved that up to an 8. As far as brand colors, we did try to improve on the brand colors here. So we tried to integrate colors in a more unique manner or a more ownable manner. So we've got a lot of this dark blue here. We've got this orange color, and you can see how those colors are integrated in different shades of those. So I think we did better on the brand colors too. And then the logo lockup, which was one of the bigger issues on the existing design. Certainly the placement on the vehicle is vastly improved. in terms of where it is. So you know the name of this company is Frosty Desert, not Stay Frosty. So we fixed that piece of it. You could also notice that the size of this lettering here, and then our clarifier here for heating and air is also very legible, easy to read from a distance. So you step back or this van's driving by, I can quickly tell who it's for and what they do. And secondly, so for that, I think we did a really great job of improving that. So I had that as a 9. And then the vehicle wrap itself, again, when there were so many challenges on the other wrap design. And this is one of the things to keep in mind too. So, you can say that the other wrap design was very colorful and that you would remember maybe having seen it, but the problem was you didn't know what it was for or the name of the company. So that visibility is obviously a plus, but not being able to understand what that company does is the other piece of the puzzle, right? So I think we definitely solved a lot of those challenges here. We've got a much more visible URL here. And we have the phone number here. It's not like it's huge or I'm trying to slam it in front of your face. Honestly, it's not the way most people will contact a home service contractor. They're literally gonna Google it. But I think overall, definitely a huge improvement on this. And a total score on this, I think, gets us to 42, which puts us somewhere over here. So I think we did a much better job. Enrique is the owner. We did a lot of work for him. These are some of the other things that we did, and you can kind of see how all these things tie together. You can see even here on the wrap design of what we wound up doing with the striping element, just continuing that through the rear so that when you look at the vehicle on a corner, everything looks like it belongs as a singular unit, which works really well. Then we did some yard signs for him and some door hangers. And you can see again, continuity of everything, his uniforms. So the best part of everything that we did for Enrique and his team is revenue, right? So you could have all the pretty pictures in the world. If it doesn't convert, then what good is it, right? So what was awesome about his results, he's 12 months into the rebrand and he's gone from 1 million in revenue to $1.8 million in revenue. So we know it's working really well for him. We have a case study on him on our website. You can check the link below and that'll take you right to it. And listen, thanks for watching. And if you guys have anything that you want to contribute that you would like reviewed, just hit us up and we'll be happy to do a brand review for you as well.